Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from Stash Project. Today is May 31st, 2021, and we do not have any kit announcements this week. Yes, we are in a quiet week here. That just basically having to do with the fact that we already had all of the summer stuff get announced, either before Shizuka or at Shizuka, although we should probably in the next maybe 2 weeks or so, we should get Hasegawa's August releases as we're starting to progress out of the summer in terms of the 90 days in advance. But nothing this week, so it's just straight kit releases to talk about, and there's one domestic release, and then everything else will be from the overseas department. So our domestic kit release, and this will be a company we probably talk about a little bit more as the summer goes along, as the releases will be a little bit more germane to what we normally discuss on the channel, and that is this from Atlantis, the 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Brougham. So this is the old Revell multi-piece body kit from the 1950s. It was most recently released as a selected subject program kit back in I want to say it's about 10 years ago or so. I should have looked up the exact date on that. Don't quote me on the exact date, but it did get an SSP release not too terribly long ago. It wasn't necessarily the hardest kit to find on eBay. A lot of these things floating around just in general. The SSP version, of course, being a limited release of about 3,000 pieces, did sell out. And so, it's not like something that's going to be at your hobby shop or anything else like that. I don't believe there was anything new done to this. At least I don't think there were certain ones of these these old Revell and monogram tools that Atlantis picked up when the folks at Quantum need Blitz, the Revell of, I can't really call it Revell of Germany anymore because it's just Revell now. Revell is in Germany and they own the U.S. operating division, but when the new owners of Revell got rid of a bunch of sort of the scratch and dent odds and ends, things that they didn't want any part of tooling. They sold most of it to Atlantis. Atlantis then sold the NASCAR stuff, at least the 80s, 90s NASCAR stuff, to Salvinos JR, which is how we get to where we're at right now. They do, through the summer, plan to release more of the tooling they got from Monogram and Revell. It will be GM-centric at first, however, because that is currently who they have their license with. I know they probably would like to get a Chrysler Fiat license. They'd like to get a Ford license to further utilize the catalog. But right now, up front, this summer especially, it's going to be mostly GM subject matter. So when you see this coming out, know what it is. Know that it is the almost 70-year-old model kit at this point. You can, finagle it into something passable. Certainly would be a great subject matter. Personally, I love the way the car looks, to see it done as an actual, newer kit. But for the retro folks, for the nostalgia folks, this is certainly something to look into. And again, we haven't talked about Atlantis a lot. We just sort of mentioned them in passing with the purchase of the Revell monogram tooling. This is all stuff, by the way, that was based here in the United States. Atlantis does not have anything that belonged to Revell that was in China. They did not ship anything across. So all of this tooling that they will be releasing are things that were never shipped to China because they were presumed to never be run again. We've seen a few things, U.S. releases, the Ram Charger, the first-gen RX-7, the Chevy Love pickup truck that were U.S.-based and have been released by Revell around or since the purchase. So the U.S. tooling does still exist here in the United States, but certain parts of it were sold off. And so this is one of those. And like I said, there'll be a scattered smattering of them throughout the summer, and we'll talk about them as they come in. Once they sort of establish that they have a reliable release schedule in the sense of we're going to do these things and they're actually going to come out in the months they say they will, then we'll start covering them in the monthly updates. But in the meantime, when they show up, we'll let you know. So that is out there. So that's the domestic release for this week, and we go overseas for the rest of it. So we have a couple of Hasegawa releases, we have a Tamiya release, we have a couple of Aoshima reissues. So let's talk about the Aoshima stuff real quick, since it'll be pretty much, it's all reissues, but a lot of this is just restock reissues. So in those restock reissues, you have the Wings West version of the Honda Accord wagon. So this is not necessarily a VIP wagon, more of a tuner wagon, if you want to call it that. Again, something in the model car line, or the Tune model car line that has been around before. And then also you have the Hippo Sleek version of the Subaru Legacy touring wagon. Again, a tuner-ish wagon rather than being VIP one. So those are back out. Also reissued this week the Urace Skyline ER34. This would be the Type R. This is the new tool, four-door R34. And it's most, this is, I think this is the second reissue of this kit since it came out late last year. So it continues to sell well, and that got another run. And then we also got a couple more of the initial D kits, and again, these are just being reboxed into the 24th, the 25th rather, 24th. Yeah, 24th anniversary. That's the one we're gonna pick, guys. Now the 25th anniversary boxings. So you have first up here Fujiwara Takahumi A86 Volume 37 edition. This has the AE101 engine components included, roll caging included, racing seats included. And this is always the one we tell you to sort of pick up if you want to buy a full tilt Truno, because this has all the parts from all the versions. There's the Volume 1 version, the Project D version, and the Volume 37. Volume 37 has all of the options in it, ungated and in there. So if you want to pick one up, this is sort of the one to go for. I think engine insert's not a full detail kit, but you do get a bunch of different options of how to build the engine, and like I said, it has the full racing interior or full stock interior. It all depends on how you build it. And then the other release would be Tsuki Takahashi's A85 Levan. Again, we've talked about this a couple of times. Humorously, he bought this car thinking it was much like the Hero car, but the A85 is a 1.5 liter economy car. Not the A86 is like super duper 1.6 liters, so much more special. But the Truno, the A86 is, the car. And throughout the series, he did tune it up and make it into a race car. But this was sort of the box art here from when he picked it up in the comic book series. Very happy about his purchase, not realizing that he had accidentally bought the wrong car. So those are out, and then we have 3 more wheel sets this week, and they are the VIP Modular VXS 110s, the Workmeister S1Rs, and the Work Gnosis GS2. So some more 19-inch VIP wheels, but of course, again, they'll fit on anything a 19-inch wheel will hold. So that covers that. We go to Hasegawa next. Couple of just sort of reboxed reissues, if you will. First up, you have the Toyota Starlet 3-door middle version, super limited. This car in real life was a sort of a special edition done for the fact that the Starlet at that point, since its inception, not this particular 3rd gen version, but since its inception, the Starlet had sold 1 million units. So that was what this was about. It has the Momo resin steering wheel included, and then everything else is done with either some decals to tweak the badging of it to this super limited Turbo S version, or amalgamation of parts that are included in the kit. So this kit still comes with like a couple of hoods and a couple of bumpers and different bits and pieces you need to make this specific version, but ultimately there are no new parts with this. It is just sort of a conjuring of a new model kit, so to speak. And then you have this right here, which is the Nissan Fairlady Z432 Patrol Car. It is the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, and there's also another prefecture in here I should have wrote down. I think it's, let me look it up real quick while we're talking about it. Anyways, this is a Z432 version of the police version. The police version does exist and has been released before in the ZG version, the long nose, polycarbonate nose version, but the Z432, not previously a police car, also has the Toshigi. The Toshigi Prefecture is a bonus set of decals in the kit. But it is, the box art is the Tokyo Metropolitan Police. And yeah, so basically just a new set of decals. The police parts themselves are just pulled out of the ZG kit and put into this one. And yeah, I mean, I'm guessing a Z432 was a patrol car. A lot of these, starting with the Mazda Cosmo, actually, well, a lot of these, what we consider to be sports cars in the 1960s, 1970s sense, in Japan were used as highway patrol vehicles, high-speed pursuit vehicles back then. So it is molded in white. There was no picture of any of the kit contents on the normal site that I used for the box art photos, so I don't know if the little widow's peak on the nose is a decal or if you have to paint that two-tone yourself. But yeah, that is out there for anyone who happens to be interested in it. And then lastly from Hasegawa, a kit that I think we mentioned this in passing But then I was not brought back up again because it disappeared, and I thought that it had not been, the project had been canceled or just sort of been shuffled off. But what it turned out was the site that I use for a lot of these box art photos had listed this as being a military kit rather than being a civilian automobile kit, even though it is obviously, as you'll see here in a second, an automobile, not a military vehicle. Yeah, this Wild Egg Girls Volkswagen Beetle Type 1, Rei Hazumi with figures. So, this is kind of an interesting amalgamation of parts as well. The Resin Girl, all the things, is new. She has not existed in the past. She is hitchhiking. Apparently, her high float tire Beetle has run out of gas. It does include a bunch of parts from the Kubel wagon, as you might guess, with those high float tires and the sort of 6-lug heavy duty wheels that are on here. Um, uh, it also has the Kubel wagon parts because the gag is to pose her with a couple of jerry cans hitchhiking for a ride. But it also includes all the weaponry from the Kubel wagon because the jerry cans are on that parts runner of the Kubel wagon kit. So you get the Panzerfaust, you get the Mauser, you get the rifle, you get the machine guns, you get all of the weaponry that comes with the Panzerfaust comes in this kit. It does include the stock wheel covers, stock wheels and stock wheel covers for the Beetle, but it does not include stock tires. The only tires this kit comes with are the high float tires from the North Africa version of the Kubel wagon. You notice on the box art there are a bunch of like scuffs and rust marks and stuff like that. Those are included on the decal sheet. This is a uniquely interesting decal sheet in the sense that all of the rust and chipping work is done with decals, so you can place it wherever you want to. That is kind of nice. You can chip this to whatever you feel like it needs to be chipped to, or rust it to however you feel it needs to be rusted. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation piece, and it's a cartoon resin girl rather than it being a real resin girl. But I mean, with some of the stuff that Hasegawa resin girls, they're kind of cartoony anyway. But that's out there for anybody who happens to be interested in it. And that'll bring us to the last release for this week, and that is going to be this, the Sauber C9 Mercedes Le Mans car. So this is a 1989 24 Hours of Le Mans winning vehicle. Newly included in this version of this release is going to be cartograph decals, as well as that sheet of photo etch that is promoted down in the bottom left corner of the box art. You can, again, build all 3 team cars out of this. It is full detail. It does come with the engine. This kit was done in 1989. So keep that in mind. It's not like totally up to like current, super current Tamiya standards, but at the same time, Tamiya standards in 1989 were pretty spiffy nonetheless. So, yeah, not a lot to say about this in a holistic sense because the kit again has been around for 32 years at this point. But at the same time, it's nice to see it come back out. It's been a little while, especially since this boxing of it has come out. They did the electronics version, as I like to call it, the one with the circuit board printed all over it, since in between 1989 and the current day. But this original Silver Arrow version was not has not been in the catalog for a little while. So it's a very, very basic livery scheme. You paint the car silver, and there's just a few decals here and there. And then the big differences between the team cars are what color the mirrors are. That's pretty much it. And there is Studio 27 carbon fiber for that available. There is Studio 27, and I think probably Scale Motorsports. Scale Motorsports probably does carbon for it too, but Scale Motorsports and Studio 27 both do PE sets for it. So some aftermarket exists for it. Regardless as to whether or not it's super, super detailed and being a current kit. If some of those decals or PE are sold out, it would not surprise me at all to see them reissued come next month or over the summer. So that, guys, I believe covers this video. So hope everybody had a great weekend. It was a long weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend, so we take the time out, as always, every year to thank those, pretty much the families, I guess, because you really can't thank someone who's passed in a technical sense. But, remember all of those who gave their lives in the defense of the United States. And please keep your military holidays correct. Memorial Day is for people who have passed, Veterans Day are for people who have served, and then Armed Forces Day are for people who are serving. It kind of bothers some military people when you thank them for their service on Memorial Day because they're not dead yet. So keep that in mind. Just see every year see posts about that. Stop thanking me for my service on Memorial Day. Yeah, it's not the appropriate holiday. Keep that in mind. Anyway, see you guys on the other side.